Good morning, everybody. This is Casey, and you should be looking at a picture of our course, our online course for fall of 19. My picture's on the right, and that good-looking lady on the left is my co-instructor, Jackie Lauder. We both have lots of good experience and background in gerontology, so you guys are really lucky to have us. Some of you will only get me, and you're still pretty lucky about that. Anyway, this is our home page, and on here we'll put things like things of interest. So like living longer is one of those kind of things that we talk about a lot in gerontology. So there's some ideas here, and over the course of the semester we may find some other things to give you of interest, probably not stuff that goes on the test. Down here is support for beach board. If you're new to beach board or unfamiliar with something that comes up because they keep changing it, here's a place to click on, and it'll give you even a phone number you can talk to. Every thing you have to do, we set up in a calendar tool on the home page, so you can kind of see ahead of time what's coming. So from the home page, we're going to go next over to content. And content is kind of like a table of contents in a textbook. I'm going to click on the table of contents to show everything that's in there. So what's in here is a syllabus, and you may have a different section number, but it's the same syllabus. And the course schedule, same thing. If you have a difference, if you're in section 20, for example, it's going to be the same as what you're going to see. This course is a little bit different than we've done in the past because the textbook is built into the course. And it's called Day One Digital Access. You can click on it in a minute and show you what it looks like. But basically what's happening here is the book is available right away to you for 2 weeks free. I think it's September 9th is the date where you'll be charged for the book, and you'll get access to use the book over the course of the semester, and the price of it is something like 47 bucks. So it's pretty good. I don't think we'd have anything to sell at the end of the semester, so you don't have to wait in line and get $3 for your $140 book that you bought 3 months prior. So let's go ahead and take a look at this book. And my view is a little bit different than yours, but you'll have the same kind of access. So here's the book, and you'll probably just see one of them. So you would click on course materials and then start reading. And so it'll take you right to the book, first page of the book, theoretically, while it's loading up. And you're able to do all kinds of things in here. You can highlight text. You can print parts of it out if you'd like to do that. Move on to the page after and so forth. So I'm going to go back to our course. If you want to opt out of that and have a hard copy of the book, that's available through the library. And if you have in mind that option, let me know, and I'll send you what you need to know to be able to do that. But after 2 weeks, your student account will get charged $47, and to make sure you have that much money in your account, I guess. Okay, so let's go back to content. And so that's the book, and I'm going to go back to the table of contents to show everything. So syllabus, course schedule, what we're going to do each week. The textbook is here. There's some information about rubrics and things like that, and a warning that we usually will take a look at the text that you write and check it for originality. If it's something that you copied from somewhere else, it will show up like a sore thumb, and the consequences for that are pretty pretty rough. The university takes that plagiarism idea pretty seriously. So be unique, be creative, write your own stuff. This course uses the APA formatting, so there's a link here to show you what that looks like. Really just interested as far as APA goes in references that you will put in your text and in reference section after your text. And the rest of the formatting and things like that, like we don't care about. We're not writing thesis in this class. Here's instructions on the discussion boards, and I'll show you where all that stuff is in a few minutes. This is a writing intensive course, so we start you reasonably early in the semester with a writing assignment. I don't think either one of us are qualified to teach English, but I know it when I see it if it's not right. And we'll make some comments about it, but we're mostly interested in what you're thinking about, what you're saying, not exactly perfectly. And then the signature assignment for this course is a life review paper we'll get into a little bit later in the semester, but primarily you're going to select an older adult and interview them at the end of the semester and kind of look at that person's life, what they did to get to where they are that day when you're interviewing them. And we'll give you a model. There's lots of information about that, but that's your big assignment, and we've had numbers of students tell us it's the best thing they've ever done here at Cal State Long Beach. In that same vein, since you're going to have to pick an older adult to interview down the road, and a lot of people do grandparents and things like that, in the discussion boards, there's one of the requirements are 2 outside resources. And by outside resources, we mean resources that are not built into the course. There's a lot of stuff like that. It means your textbook is not an outside resource. So you'll get online and find something that's related to whatever the discussion happens to be about. And then the second outside resource should be a personal conversation with an older adult to see what they think about retirement or what they think about Alzheimer's or whatever we happen to be talking about. And you'll put that into your discussions, reflections we call them, as a personal communication. And we'll show you more about that down the road. These are all of the links to a lot of the videos and other resources we have. I will tell you that most of this stuff is already built into the course, and the links are already set, so you don't have to move around too much. This is kind of a backup group. Let's look at class lists. This is all of us. So what I'm noticing is that only a few of you have pictures. And so one of the things we're going to ask you to do the first week is to create your profile. I'll show you where that is in Flash here. So here I am, and here's my partner in crime. Where is she? There she is. Jackie Lauder. Your view will be a little bit different than this, but if you want to email another student directly, you can go to the class list, click on the link. It'll open up an email if you want to send somebody a direct message without having to find out what their email address is ahead of time. So that's the class list. And from time to time, we'll send out a kind of a blanket message about things as we're going on, and that'll happen through the course. So I'm going to go to the grade book first and let you know. I know none of you are interested in your grades, but I'm obligated to do this by contract. So it's broken up into a few different groups. We have these reflections I talked about. There are 2 softball ones. The first one is all about you and your background and what your interests are. And the last one is an evaluation of the course from the standpoint of the 3 items that were your biggest takeaways from what we talk about over the course of the semester. The 2 refers to 2 items you may want to know more about. And 1 refers to if there was anything in the course you didn't find relevant. And the reason we do this is we read these and compile them and change the course based on what's going on. Because in our society today, everything's changing kind of in a New York minute. And so your interests and your needs change. So we change the course based on what you tell us. So it's very important that you do that one. And that's kind of a softball one too. It's what you think. In between are 5 other reflections and response. We're going to ask you to respond to another student. And these will be deeper dives into the topics that we are looking at over the course of the semester. So that's the discussion board. And in the discussion board, they should be your text, not as a linked text, a link to text or anything like that. We want just a pure text so everyone who goes in there and reads it can see it easily without having to click onto an attachment to be able to respond to another student. So those are all pure text. You can write it in the Beachboard course directly, or you can write up a Word document, give yourself some time to think about it, copy and paste it into the reflection when it's open. Second section are Dropbox. So before I go, the discussion board is open to everyone in the class. So anyone, whatever you write, everybody else in the class can see. In Dropbox, it's just between you and us. So other students don't get to see your reaction paper, your life review, or anything like that. So that comes in typically as an attachment rather than text. The text, it just takes up lots of space, and the attachment is much better because it's usually longer papers, and so that's the way that one works. There's only one exam. We used to have a bunch of quizzes over the course of the semester, but we decided to just give you a final exam, which will cover the whole course. It's worth 100 points. There's also a practice exam that you'll be looking at the first week. It doesn't count. Let me see if this will tell you that. So it's excluded from the final grade calculation. So it's part of your first reflection and how you did in the course and how you felt about that. So when you take this exam, don't study for it. Just go in there, whatever question, whatever answer seems to be the right one, just go for it. And it won't impact your grade other than if you don't do it, you'll lose participation points. So that's the grade book. So let's see where all this stuff comes from. So the first area is the Dropbox, and these are, again, between you and us. And so there are 4 items in here. A reaction paper, and I'll show you the rubrics in a minute. And here's the due dates for all of this stuff. On the life review paper, since it's a major paper, we want you to do a little planning ahead of time for it, and we'll get to it later in the semester. But you'll kind of come up with some ideas about what kind of questions to ask the person you're going to interview, and what you're trying to learn out of this whole process. And we'll give you a model to use to do an evaluation of the person. You're really doing a snapshot of them in your life. So it's a very interesting thing. But we want you to, instead of just going cold into it, have a plan. We'll give you feedback on it, and then you'll have that plan to go forward with the final paper, which is due towards the end of the semester. And the 3-2-1 evaluation I talked about is also in the Dropbox rather than in the discussion board. So that's Dropbox. Quizzes, just 2. Come on, so the practice exam that's open during the first week shouldn't take you too long to do it. Once you start any of these exams, you need to finish them. You can't just put them on pause and come back the next day. So just remember that once you start, you need to finish. And there are time limits on both. There's plenty of time on the practice exam and the final. We're still working on that. How many questions and how long? But typically, it's a 1 minute per question kind of formula, and it's open book, open notes, and it'll give you a tool to put together to be able to find things very quickly. We want you to learn. Learning's the big piece here, not what Einstein's birthday was. Okay. Discussion board is where pretty much everything is. So we created a forum, this first one that stays open all semester. It's called Ask and Answer. And if you have a question about Beach Board, or you have a question about some of the assignments, this is a place to put it in there, and we'll look at this often every day and give you an answer. The odds are pretty good that if you have a question, somebody else in the class has pretty much the same or similar questions. So don't be shy on that. Anything of a personal nature needs to come to one of us via email, so we can deal with that outside of the whole class, because everything that's in the discussion board, everybody can see. Okay, and then we kind of break this down by week and module. So first week is a little bit of an overview about what you're doing. Here are the objectives we're hopeful that you'll achieve on this first one, and it's true throughout all of the different modules. Here's some resource materials. So we have a course homepage, and you've already seen syllabus and class schedule should be reviewed. And then in your text, there's an introduction, 3 or 4 pages, and then chapter 1. And we'd like you to get all this done this first week. A couple videos to watch, both I think really good. And this orientation live session is what we're doing right now. So in the assessments for Module 1, we're going to ask you to write a reflection. It's due on the 30th, so that's 3 or 4 days from Tuesday, and then they'll respond by the following Monday. So this class starts on Tuesday mornings and ends on Monday nights at 11. And so here's the points. Be sure to respond to another student. This is kind of a way to create a little sense of learning community among all of you, because you guys are all together and with us. And I will tell you right now that every semester I'm lucky enough to learn as much as most of my students. So, and then there's a practice exam which we want you to take, and that's part of your reflection. So down below it'll tell you to post your reflections here. You click on this and paste it as text or write it as text, and it gives you a prompt about exactly what you are to write about. And it goes on. Module 2 has an overview, it has objectives, it has resources, and in this case, there is no reflection due. It's what we used to do every week, but it became kind of hard on the students and hard on us to give you good feedback on everyone. And it turns out that a lot of these topics that we're going to talk about are related to each other. So, so if you see no reflection due, you don't have anything to do that week in terms of that. There may be other assignments that come up. Week 3, same thing. Here's the objectives. Here's the text. We always kind of bolster the text with additional videos. And so in this week, the reaction paper is due 11 o'clock on the 16th of September. in the Dropbox. No reflection this particular week, just the reaction paper. And like that. So what I'd like you to do when you get to the course is to kind of look it all over, and if you have any questions, send us an email and we'll answer them. If there's something wrong in the course, we'll fix it. So that's kind of it. And I really look forward to working with all of you, and hopefully have a great semester. So we'll talk to you soon.